Here we go, Algebra 1 students. Welcome back to another Regents review video. This is the Algebra 1 Common Core Regents exam for January 2018. These are going to be the solutions to Part 1, questions 1 through 12 of this examination. Before we begin, as usual, Algebra 1 is a nice, comfortable subject for the Regents exam. Everything's not so bad. But anyway, just don't cheat. Don't do it. It's so not worth it. Don't take my answers and put them on a piece of paper and call them your own. It is not worth it. You have to take this exam and pass it to graduate. But if you do cheat, then it's really not going to be in your favor. Make sure that you hit that subscribe button down below. Consider becoming a patron on my Patreon page. I would greatly appreciate the financial support to keep this channel going for many years. And especially since you're in Algebra 1, you're going to be using me probably for geometry and Algebra 2 and possibly higher level math. And make sure that you visit my website at www.nysmathregentsprep.com for more math content in Algebra 1 and your future mathematical subjects. And I use the TI Inspire CX calculator. It is by far the most powerful tool on the calculator market for test taking for math. So please consider purchasing this calculator. You'll see it's very useful if you watch my previous videos in Algebra 1. So I highly recommend this calculator. This link can be found on my website. Without further ado, let's begin this exam. Starting off with a very easy question, question number 1. All right, here we go. Number 1 says, when solving the equation 12x squared minus 7x equals 6 minus 2 times x squared minus 1, Evan wrote 12x squared minus 7x is equal to 6 minus 2x squared plus 2 as his first step. Which property justifies the step? So they are testing your knowledge on, do you know what has changed from this equation to this equation? Well, what did Evan do? Well, the left-hand side, the 12x squared minus 7x, is the same thing as the 12x squared minus 7x, so that's fine. The 6 is still there, but now all of a sudden he changed the negative 2 times x squared minus 1 into negative 2x squared plus 2. What could he possibly have done to result in this expression over here? Well, Evan distributed the 2. When he distributed the 2, the negative 2 times x squared gives him that negative 2x squared that he needed, and negative 2 times a negative 1 gives him a positive 2. So which property justifies the first step? Your answer is going to be choice 4, the distributive property of multiplication, because we are multiplying, over subtraction. That's just a fancy term for saying what's going on inside of those parentheses, and of course they are subtracting. So your answer for this question is choice 4. Moving on to number 2, Jill invests $400 in a savings bond. The value of the bond, V of X, in hundreds of dollars after X years is illustrated in the table below. Okay, cool. Which equation and statement illustrate the approximate value of the bond in hundreds of dollars over time in years? All right, well, as you can see with all of these answer choices, and I hope that you're seeing with all of these answer choices, is that all of these are exponential equations. So since these are all exponential equations, you need to determine which one is it. Is it exponential growth or is it exponential decay? Well, as you can see in all of these answer choices, some of them are exponential growth and some of them are exponential decay. Well, let's take a look at the table of values that they actually give us. As we can see here, for every x value that is increasing, the y values are all going up. So this is in fact clearly exponential growth because v of x is growing. Okay? So since it is growing, let's go ahead and type this table of values into our calculator and evaluate an exponential regression. So go to your graphing calculator. I use the, again, TI Inspire. All right, go to your list and spreadsheets, and you're going to type in x, and you're going to type in v, and type in these numbers. So 0, 1, 2, and 3, and go to your v column. So 4, 5.4, we have 7.29, and we have 9.84. So now that we have this, let's go ahead and calculate the exponential regression. So go to Control Doc, add a calculator, menu, statistics, stat calculations. We are going to go to exponential regression. Click on that. Our x list is going to be our x that we have, and our y list is going to be v. And we click OK. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is everything that we need for our exponential regression. So what we're really looking for is we're looking for the A value and the B value. Now, notice how A and B are both positive, and A is greater than 0 and B is greater than 1. So in addition to knowing that it's exponential growth, you also need to know this, that it's only exponential growth if your A value is greater than 0 and your B value has to be greater than 1. If your B value is less than 1 but greater than 0, so in between 0 and 1, non-inclusive, that means that it is an exponential decay function. That would be choices 1 and 2. But our B value is in fact 1.35 when you round it off. So we're looking here at choices 3 and 4 when this clearly represents exponential growth. So your answer for this one is going to be choice 3. V of x is equal to 4 times 1.35 raised to the x, and it grows. Yeah, that makes sense. Anything that says decays, get rid of, and this obviously has the wrong B value. And we could clearly tell that because it shows on the calculator that it's 1.35. So that is your answer. Your answer is choice 3. Moving on to number 3. Alicia purchased each half gallons of ice cream for $3.50 and a P packages of ice cream cones for $2.50 each. She purchased 14 items and spent $43. Which system of equations could be used to determine how many of each item Alicia purchased? Okay, so what I like to do is I always like to create a cost function or an equation, and I like to create a equation of how many items she purchased. So, and that's how it really goes. So notice here that for half gallons of ice cream, she paid $3.50. For P packages of ice cream, she paid $2.50. And she spent a total of $43, and she purchased 14 products. So I need everyone to understand this right now. There has to be some sort of system of equations that has money and how many products that she bought. Let's take a look at choice 1. So $3.50 times H. Well, let's see. $3.50 is the cost of half gallons. So that is true so far. That's good. Then we have $2.50 each times P packages. Okay, that's good so far. And this equals $43. That should make sense to you because that's how much is spent for purchasing these products. So that's good so far. Let's take a look at the second equation. H plus P equals 14. Yeah, that is definitely a true statement. So your answer for this one is going to be choice 1. Just to sum up, the first equation that you see there, this is the cost of the ice cream, how much Alicia paid to purchase this. She spent $43, and this shows the amount of products that she bought. That should make sense because it says right there that she purchased 14 items. We don't really care how many items of H and P she bought separately. We only care about she purchased 14 items. So your answer is choice 1. Moving on to number 4. A relation is graphed on the set of axes below. Cool. Based on this graph, the relation is what? So this is a quadratic, and it's asking you about functions. So is this a function or not? Well, it is a function because all functions passes the vertical line test. This passes the vertical line test. So since it passes the vertical line test, we know for sure that this is in fact a function because it passes the vertical line test. Your answer is choice 2. I really can't give any more explanation than that. If you want to get really technical, it's because there's only one value of y for every value of x. That is the definition of a function, but other than that, you just need to know that it passes the vertical line test at every single point. Those aren't really vertical lines, but you know where I'm getting at. So, your answer is choice 2. Moving on to number 5. Ian is saving up to buy a new baseball glove. Every month he puts $10 into a jar. Which type of function best models the total amount of money in the jar after a given number of months? So, I'm going to create a function, f of x. Okay? F of x is going to be how much money he has after so odd many months. All right, this is going to be equaling What? Well, every month. That means every single month he puts in $10. So that's going to be $10 per month. I'm going to let X be the number of months. So 10X plus any value of B, where B represents the starting amount, because we don't know how much money he began with. I mean, he could start with nothing. We don't know, but it doesn't tell us. But I'm just making up the function that corresponds to this question. The 10 represents the constant rate of change. This is, I just said something quite interesting. This is a constant rate of change. I'm going to say that one more time. This is a constant rate of change. What type of function best models a constant rate of change? Yeah, your answer is choice 1. It is a linear function because it is going up in increments of $10 per month. And as I said before, that X represents the number of months. It cannot be an exponential, cannot be a quadratic, cannot be a square root. So your best answer and the obvious answer is going to be choice 1 for that question. Moving on to number 6. Which ordered pair would not be a solution to y equals x to the third minus x? All right. This is not a bad question. You could do two things. Either you could go ahead and graph this into your graphing calculator, or you could take each individual x value of -4, -3, -2, and -1, plug it in by hand into this equation, and see which y value is not corresponding. So I'm going to go ahead to my graphing calculator first because that is my go-to. And I'm going to type in x to the third minus x. Okay, we have this cubic function. So Control T for table of values. And I'm going to go down to the -4, -3, -2, -1. So -4 is the x value and the -60 is the y value. So these are your x values and these are your y values. So we have -4, -60, -3, -24, -2, -6, and -1, 0. Well, which one of these is not matching? What I just said before. Actually, let me shrink this down a little bit. Okay, you probably could barely see that. Maybe. I'm not so sure. But again, we're looking at these here. -4, -60, -3, -24, -2, -6, or -1, 0. Obviously, your answer is going to be choice 4 for this question. All right, and just to verify this by hand, I'll be more than happy to show you. If you take the value of x equals -1 and plug it into y equals, we have y is equal to -1 to the third minus a -1. Well, -1 to the third is -1. These give you a positive, so that's going to be -1 plus 1, which is the number 0. Well, last time I checked, 0 does not equal to -2. So that's why choice 4 is going to be your answer. Every one of these ordered pairs, choices 1, 2, and 3, they work out. Number 7, last weekend, Emma sold lemonade at a yard sale. The function P of C equals 0.50C minus 9.96 represents the profit, P of C, Emma earned selling C cups of lemonade. Sales were strong, so she raised the price for this weekend by 25 cents per cup. Good for her. Which function represents her profit for the weekend? So, now, we are looking at, now understand here, we are looking at the weekend that she upped the price, okay? So this, ladies and gentlemen, is her original profit function, okay? That is the original profit function. Notice how 0.50C, what does that mean? Well, 0.50C represents that it's 50 cents per cup. So again, she raised it by 25 cents. So now it's 75 cents per cup. Okay? So the only correct answer is going to be choice 4. That is 75 cents per cup. Now, let's just say that you were still confused as to why that was the answer. Or let's just say that other answers had 0.75. I failed to mention what this is. Do you know what this is? Well, why hasn't this changed? Why didn't this go up by 25 cents? Or like, why is it not choice 3? Well, granted, it's still 50 cents. She raised it to 25 cents more to get 75 cents. But why is that still $9.96? Well, this, ladies and gentlemen, is very important. And this is cost. Okay? That is representing how much money Emma had to spend to get the business going, right? She had to pay for the lemon, for the lemons themselves. Probably had to pay for sugar. Who knows how much lemons and sugar costs, and she had to, stir it up, but that doesn't cost anything, right? But the cost remains constant. Nothing went up in cost as far as we know. We are assuming that the cost function is constant, as in, like, Stop and Shop didn't raise their prices to whatever dollar amount for the lemons. So the cost is constant. The only thing that's changing is she's upping her price by 25 cents, and that's exactly what she's doing. So this is increased by 25 cents. All right, that's how you do that question. Your answer is choice 4. Moving on to number 8. The product of square root of 576 and the square root of 684 is what? So the best thing that you could possibly do to get this question right, honestly, is to take this, multiply it by this in the calculator, see what you get. So I'm going to go ahead to my graphing calculator, and I'm going to type in the square root of 576 times the square root of 684. Clearly, that is an irrational number. It is a non-terminating, non-repeating decimal. So your answer is going to be irrational. It's not going to be rational, but it's down to one of these answers. Is it because both factors are irrational or one factor is irrational? Well, type these in separately, see what they give you. The square root of 576. Ooh, that is a positive whole number. That is 24. That is a rational number because it does terminate. All right, it is just, really, it's a positive integer. That's all it is. And it terminates. It's rational. So we know for sure that your answer is going to be choice 3 because one of the factors is irrational. And indeed, the square root of 684 is in fact irrational because if you take the square root of 684 and you break it down into two separate radicals, this is the square root of 4 and the square root of 171. The square root of 4 is 2. Carry along the 171 for the ride. The square root of 171 is, of course, irrational. Your answer is choice 3 for this question. Moving on to number 9. Which expression is equivalent to y to the 4th minus 100? All right, so y to the 4th minus 100. We know the order factoring by now, I hope, right? First, we look for GCF. If we don't have a GCF, then we look for the difference of two perfect squares. And if we don't have dots, then we look for the trinomial method, which is the add-multiply method. Well, as you're looking at this, we know for sure that there is no greatest common factor, so that's out. But there is a difference of two perfect squares, though, right? We could take the square root of y to the 4th, and we could take the square root of 100, and it's subtracting each other. Cool. So the square root of y to the 4th is y squared. Set up your double bubble, that's y squared. It's always going to be plus minus when using the difference of two perfect squares, and the square root of 100 is going to be 10. Ladies and gentlemen, that is your answer. Your answer for this question is going to be choice 3. Moving on to number 10. The graphs of y equals x squared minus 3 and y equals 3x minus 4 intersect at approximately what? So all of these numbers that you see here, I would highly recommend that you use your graphing calculator to do this. So let's go to our graph. Let's go ahead and type in x squared minus 3 and type in 3x minus 4. Now we're going to use our graphing calculator tool to our advantage. I see an intersection point in this vicinity and in this vicinity. So I'm going to go to menu, go down to analyze graph, and click on intersection point. So click before and after that intersection point. It's going to give you a shaded region, and it's going to pinpoint where it is. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is one intersection point. Okay, let's do it again. Menu, analyze graph, intersection, click before and after. So your answer, and it's asking you for both points, actually. So it's asking you for both points. So just match it up. Actually, let me go ahead and take a picture of this. For those of you using headphones, cover your ears for just a brief moment because I'm not sure if I turned off my volume. That's not what I was looking for. I did not turn off my volume. So this might be a little loud. There it is. So let me paste this over here. And we're going to take a look and see what points we have here. All right. So the points we have are 0.382 and negative 2.85 and 2.62 and 3.85. Well, that looks pretty promising to choice 3. That looks pretty promising to choice 3. Yep. The only difference between these two answer choices is they decided to swap the X and the Y to play tricks on your eyes, and they wanted for you to fall for choice 4. But your answer for this question is going to be choice 3. Not a bad question, just had to use your graphing calculator for that. Moving on to number 11. The expression negative 4.9t squared plus 50t plus 2 represents the height in meters of a toy rocket t seconds after launch. The initial height of the rocket in meters is what? In order to get this question right, you have to understand what initial height meant. Initial height is the starting height of the rocket. Well, when does the rocket start? Well, it starts when the time t equals 0. Okay? So you're basically finding what the height is before you launch the rocket, which that's time t equals 0. So if you take t equals 0 and you plug it in to this equation up here, let's see what we get. We get negative 4.9 times 0 squared plus 50 times 0 plus 2. Well, the 0 times anything is 0, so that gets out. That's out. You're left with positive 2. So that is the starting height of the rocket. Your answer is going to be choice 2 for that question. Move on to the last one, number 12. If the domain of the function f of x equals 2x squared minus 8 is negative 2, 3, and 5, then the range is what? So this is all it's asking you for. This is a kind of an interesting way to phrase this. They're asking you for the range when the domain is this. All you need to do is take these numbers and plug them into f of x and find the outputs. That's going to be your range. Now, would I do this by hand? Yeah, probably. You could also use your calculator. You could go ahead and graph 2x squared minus 8, and it will just do the same thing for you. So 2x squared minus 8, when you plug that in, and you click on your table of values, Control-T, go down to negative 2, 3, and 5, and see what those answers are. Negative 2 is 0, 3 is 10, and 5 is 42. So your answers are 0, 10, and 42. 0, 10, and 42. Your answer is choice 3. And if you want to do that by hand, it's just basically plugging in f of negative 2. That's going to be 2 times negative 2 squared minus 8, which is going to be, this is 4 times 2, which is 8 minus 8, which is 0. F of 3, that's going to be 2 times 3 squared minus 8. That's going to be 3 squared, which is 9, times 2, which is 18, minus 8, which is 10. And f of 5. That's going to be 2 times 5 squared minus 8. 5 squared is 25 times 2, which is 50, minus 8. That is going to be 42. So, ladies and gentlemen, these are the outputs, which is the range for this question. And that's it. That's all you got to do. Those are pretty quick, honestly. And that's the conclusion of this video. Make sure that you hit that subscribe button down below. Consider becoming a patron on my Patreon page. I would greatly appreciate it. And visit my website at www.nysmathregentsprep.com for more math content in Algebra 1 and your future mathematical subjects. And I hope to see you soon.